name is Paniko. I'm 29 years old and I currently have a job that lets me work from home. Right now, I'm living with my husband Takao and his mother Tomoko in a house that my husband built for our family. Takao, I'm a bit busy today, so could you please make dinner for your mom and yourself?
Yeah, sure, got it. Don't push yourself too hard, alright?
Of course, thanks! Takao is a very understanding person and is always willing to help me out with the chores since he knows that my job can get quite demanding sometimes. But I can't say the same for my mother-in-law. Why are you forcing my son to do all the chores for you again? We talked about this. Cooking dinner should be your responsibility. Don't you want to cook something for him? This is ridiculous. I'm sorry.
Hey, Mom, let's not do this again. Paniko has a job, just like me.
You're being too nice to her. This is why she always takes advantage of you, honey. And she doesn't even have a real job. She works from home. Tomoko is a very conservative person, so she doesn't quite understand the concept of remote working no matter how many times I explain it to her. Look, this is a house that my son built for our family. He took out a huge loan to build this place. Now, even though you may claim to have a job, you don't make enough to build a house like this. That means you're basically like a leech that's living off my son's paycheck. So you should know your place and do your job. Okay, I understand. I knew that arguing against her was pointless, so I tried my best to hold in my anger and started cooking dinner for Takao and Tomoko. I knew that it would take way less time to cook dinner than if I were to argue with my mother-in-law. She was the most stubborn person I've ever met. When she saw the meal I cooked for her, she seemed very frustrated with it, but I ran into my room before she could say anything to me. And so living under the same roof with my mother-in-law wasn't the most pleasant experience, but it was bearable because I knew my husband had my back. But things started to get even worse after this incident, and one day, Tomoko did this to me. Where is it? It was just here! Everything's gone! One day when I entered my home office, I was shocked by what I saw. Everything that I use for work, like my computer and my monitor, were all gone! And so I rushed over to my family members and told them what had happened. I think someone broke into our home. All my work stuff is gone. What should I do? Should we call the cops? But that's when Tomoko grinned at me and said, "Oh, stop making such a big deal out of this. We don't need to call the cops over this. I asked my son to throw out that old dirty PC for me." Wait, what? You threw it out? Why would you do that? Because that PC is the reason you haven't been doing any of the chores you're supposed to do around here. Besides, you barely make anything through your fake job. It's better if you just focus on taking care of me and my son during this day. Remember, you're just a parasite for us, so you need to do what you're told. But that's when Takao joined in the conversation and said something unbelievable.
My mom's right, Paniko. Remember, your real job is to take good care of me while I bring in money for the family. Don't lose sight of that.
What? You're kidding me, right? You really mean that? I demanded an answer from Takao, but he just looked away and shrugged. He seemed very uncomfortable. See, he understands what I'm saying. That's right, Takao. You should put Paniko in her place. Tomoko was grinning from ear to ear right next to Takao. God, she has such a punchable face! I guess she's convinced that Takao is on her side now.
You understand what I'm trying to get at, right, Paniko?
Well, yes, I understand that, but you still shouldn't have thrown out my stuff without my permission!
Throw your stuff out? I would never do something that wasteful. I just sent your work stuff to someone that needs it more than you do.
Yeah, I think that's for the best. Apparently old PCs sell for a pretty good price nowadays. We also got to make sure that we recycle. We don't want to hurt the planet now, do we? Man, my son is such a genius. I guess they care more about taking care of the planet than taking care of me. And so I walked back into my home office feeling defeated. I can't get any work done today, can I? And even though my family got rid of my work stuff, I couldn't even yell at them. Maybe I should have been more confrontational there. That might have changed things, but it's too late for that now. Ever since that incident, my husband and mother-in-law have worked together to get rid of everything that I use for work. One day, my folder containing all my work-related documents disappeared. Well, where the hell is my folder? I need that folder for work! Thanks for getting rid of all the garbage today, Takao. I bet it was heavy.
It wasn't a big deal. I just put them all in a box and left them outside for the garbage truck. It didn't even take 5 minutes.
And eventually, they got rid of my office desk and chair. Man, it feels so great to get rid of furniture that we don't need. Now that the whole room is empty, maybe we should turn it into a guest room or something. I can't believe they'd get rid of my desk and my chair. They definitely crossed the line with that. Alright, time to tell them how I feel about all of this. Hey, now that you guys got rid of everything, where the hell am I supposed to get my work done, huh? Oh, come on, it's not that big of a deal. Besides, you barely make anything. Giving you an entire home office was the biggest mistake we made when we built this house. Remember, this is a house that my son built. It doesn't belong to you. We're not paying back the mortgage for this place, now are you? Well, no, I'm not paying the mortgage, but... Right, so that means that we have the right to do whatever we want in this place, and you can't say anything about it. Well, at least my husband and I are married. Tomoko is my mother-in-law. She shouldn't even be here in the first place. She decided to move in with us 2 years ago when her husband passed away. We felt bad because she seemed lonely and depressed all the time, but letting her move in with us was the worst mistake I've ever made. I can't believe she's pretending like she owns the place. She's never paid a single cent of rent to us. And Takao has been trying his best to keep his peace around the house ever since his mother moved in with us. But I guess he finally had to pick a side. He was going to have to cut one of us off eventually, and he made the decision to prioritize his mother over me. What a shame. But to be honest with you, this was a long time coming. Anyone could have seen it from a mile away. And after my mother-in-law and Takao got rid of all my stuff, the house started to feel very empty. Too empty, actually. It was starting to become difficult to do the chores around the house because of how empty and barren the entire place was. But that's when my mother-in-law said this to me. Looks like all your stuff is gone from this house now. I'm so glad we were finally able to get rid of all the garbage that you brought into this house that my son built for me. But anyway, the only thing left to get rid of is you, Paniko. I can't stand living with you any longer, so could you please do me a favor and move out? Wait, what? With you gone, I can live happily in this house with my son. This place will feel massive with only 2 people living in it. What? But I'm your son's wife. Why do I have to be the one to leave? Is that what my husband wants? Or are you acting alone? Well, I'm Takao's mother. That means my wishes, my will, is my son's as well. And since my son was the one that built this place, I basically have ownership over it as well. What? That's insane! How can you claim ownership over this house when she didn't even help pay for it? Look, I've never really thought of you as my son's wife. We don't need a parasite in this family anymore. You need to leave. That's so mean! How could you say that to your son's wife? You're not my son's wife. You're just a jobless parasite. Now leave! Takao! You have to help me out here. You don't agree with her, do you? I can stay, right?
No, Paniko. I'm gonna have to kick you out of this house. You can't stay here anymore.
You're kidding me, right? Takao seemed very sad, but he continued and said this.
I really wanted you two to get along. I really did. That would have been the best case scenario. But since you guys can't seem to do that, I have to pick one of you to prioritize over the other.
That's right, and he ended up choosing me. Sucks to be you. No way! All right, now that we all know what my son thinks about all this, we need you to leave now.
That's right. This house is owned under my name, so you need permission to live on this property. And I revoke your permission to stay here, Paniko.
Takao, are you really sure about this? You really want to kick me out like this?
Yes. I've already made up my mind.
Wow, Takao, I love you so much, son. You're the best son any mother could have or ask for. Thank you. Watching these two flirt with each other made me want to throw up. I couldn't take this any longer. I've had enough of these two at this point. Alright then, I'll leave. I'm never coming back here ever again. Please don't, and make sure you grab all of your stuff with you. Or whatever's left of your stuff, that is. Make sure you don't leave anything here, because we're just gonna throw it all out. I tried to hold my anger back in and said this. Yup, I'll make sure to not leave anything in this house that your son built. I promise not to leave a single strand of hair here. Takao was convinced he had won. He seemed relieved and said this to his mother.
Well, now that that's settled, do you want to go on a trip for a few days, Mom? I bet Paniko's gonna need a few days to pack all of her things up, and you don't want to be around her anymore, right?
Wow, you're so thoughtful, Takao. But that's an amazing idea. I don't want to let this idiot stay here any longer, but I guess I'll show her some mercy. This is probably the last time I'm going to see her anyway. We're going to leave this house for a few days, so pack your things while you're gone. I bet it's not going to take that long since we threw out most of your stuff, though. Tomoko was convinced of her victory as well, and she seemed super proud of the work she had done. Damn it! I couldn't take their insults any longer, and I ran out of the living room and headed to my home office, or the room that used to be my home office. I sat down on the floor of the empty room and started crying. I tried my best to lower my voice so Takao and his mother couldn't hear my laugh. Yes! Finally! I've been waiting for this day for years now. Sure, I'll leave this house without leaving any of my belongings here, and I'm going to make sure I don't leave a single strand of hair here. And so, after letting my tears of joy flow out of my eyes for a couple of minutes, I started packing so I could leave the house as soon as possible. 2 weeks later, it's been 2 weeks since I left Takao's house. I was working that day on my new PC in my new apartment room when Takao called my phone. Who the hell is this? What? You called my phone. Why is she asking who I am? And the person on the other end wasn't even Takao. I've heard this voice somewhere before. Oh, I know who this is. Wait, Tomoko, is something wrong? Wait, is this Paniko? What's going on? My son just handed me his phone out of nowhere and... But that's not important! My house is gone! I could hear my mother-in-law screaming on the other end of the call. I would react the same way if I found out that my house had suddenly disappeared after coming back from a trip. Well, not everything was gone, though. The shelf that my mother-in-law had brought from her old house was still there, untouched and unharmed. Well, I moved everything out just like you asked me to. Is there a problem with that? What the hell are you talking about? I never asked you to get rid of our house! For the millionth time, that wasn't your house, Tomoko. Whatever! My son paid for it, so it's basically mine, too. What about that don't you understand? Look, it doesn't matter right now. Sure, the house used to belong to your son. He was the one that built it, after all. But now that plot of land belongs to me. What? Wait, why?
That's because Paniko paid off our mortgage.
I could hear Takao's voice over the phone. I guess they have the speakerphone on right now. Alright then, if that's the case, let me just talk to Takao over the phone. Hey, Takao! Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Sorry for making you clean everything up for me.
No, it's alright, honey. Everything went smoothly because your mom wasn't around to get in my way. Well, wait, what's going on, Takao? What do you mean she paid off your mortgage? Looks like Tomoko still has no idea what's going on. I was wondering how best to explain the situation to her when Takao started explaining everything to her for me.
You always said that Paniko's job wasn't a real one because she worked from home, right? Well, Paniko is a day trader who manages stocks to generate profit. And when the stock market went through a boom last year, she managed to ride the wave and make over $1 million.
That's right, and I still had the money saved up in one of my accounts, so I used that to buy the property off Takao and pay off the mortgage for him. Now that plot of land belongs to me.
That's right, and she even used the money she had left over to purchase a room in an amazing apartment building in the middle of the city for us. God, I love you so much, honey.
This was only possible because you helped me out, Takao. And besides, when I was still starting out as a trader, you were the one that kept our boat afloat. And it doesn't matter who's bringing in the money. We're a married couple after all. Wait a minute, so Paniko never left? She just found a new place in the middle of the day?
That's right. Oh yeah, and I also saved all of her stuff that you told me to throw away. I just moved it into the new apartment where she's living in now.
Yep, thanks to that I was able to get the move-in process done very smoothly. I was wondering how I could start the move-out process without you finding out that we were leaving our old home, but you set the table up perfectly for us. Thank you so much, Tomoko! That was a great move on your part. You're kidding me, right?
And when I was moving all of her stuff out, I moved a majority of my belongings with them too.
All this time we've been putting on an act to trick Tomoko into thinking she had won. I could win an Academy Award for my performance, don't you think?
Mom, I always told you that I was eventually gonna have to pick one of you, since you guys seemed incapable of getting along, right? And I chose my wife over you.
But then what's going to happen to me now? Where am I supposed to go? Well, that's not our problem. We obviously don't have room for you in our new apartment, so maybe you can just ask one of your relatives for help. But that's so irresponsible of you guys. I mean, again, it's not our problem. And I also left that big shelf that you brought in from your old house, so maybe you could sell that thing and find a hotel for the night. I also crammed all of your clothes and other belongings into that shelf, so make sure you get it off my property soon. I also sold the plot of land to a buyer, so you better get rid of the shelf before we transfer the plot of land to them in 3 days. If the shelf is still there at that point, they're just gonna get rid of it.
But anyway, I'm gonna head out now, Mom.
Wait, please don't go, Takao, please! Alright, Takao, I'll be waiting for you in our new apartment.
Yep, I'll see you soon.
No, please don't leave me, Takao! Please! And so, now that she was homeless, Tomoko had no idea where she could go. She asked a few of her relatives for help, but they all turned her down. It's not hard to imagine why. Given her personality, I bet all of her relatives weren't very fond of her. She's working day and night now to make sure she has a roof over her head at night. Meanwhile, Takao and I moved into a new apartment, and now we're living happily. We're going to keep on cooperating with each other to make sure that our marriage lasts as long as possible. I do want kids soon, but now that my mother-in-law is out of the picture, I kinda want to spend a bit more time with Takao as a couple before we add someone new to our family. Thank you for watching! What kind of crazy people will we get to see next? Stay tuned for more!